All right, to get a bit more reaction from Brussels now, let's go live to our correspondent, Dave Keating. Dave, what are you hearing about this so-called flex tension that could be agreed by the EU today? Tell us more about that.
Yeah, well, from what I'm hearing in Brussels, this is definitely the preferred option among the EU 27 leaders. Basically, it would be a long-term extension that could be ended at any point that the UK is able to reach a deal, whether it be customs union or a hard Brexit or what have you. Now, that would either be possibly till the end of this year, maybe a full calendar year from now. That needs to be decided tonight. But this is longer than what Theresa May requested. She had requested a delay until June 30th. A lot of people here are not very excited about that because they don't want to keep having to come back here to Brussels to have summits that are trying to get the EU past these short-term extensions. And certainly when European Council President Donald Tusk wrote to the EU 27 leaders, he did not sound enthusiastic. In fact, he said he sees it as unlikely that Theresa May would be able to agree a deal by the end of June, and that's why he thinks this Flextension is the best outcome. It's flex because the UK would have the flexibility to leave before that year period. But there are some calling for a short-term extension, notably Austria's Chancellor Sebastian Kurz. He thinks that a short extension would keep the pressure on the UK Parliament to approve a deal as soon as possible because he, like everyone else here, wants Brexit to be over as soon as possible. We are hearing some rumors that Germany may be sympathetic to this idea of having a short-term extension, but most people, I believe here, are leaning more toward the long-term extension.
Dave, is there any risk at all that this EU emergency summit today collapses and that we will be faced with a no-deal Brexit 2 days from now?
There is, but it's minor. This is what a lot of people here are worried about. Tempers are flaring here. The EU leaders are very angry with the UK. They're angry that the situation has drawn on so long, and there is a risk that in these discussions over exactly how long this extension should be, somebody's temper flares up and they say, forget it, I'm vetoing the whole thing, we're kicking the UK out in 2 days. Now, this remains unlikely because, of course, that could lead to an economic catastrophe for both sides, but it's always within the realm of possibility. And of course, just a few days ago, French President Emmanuel Macron was saying, look, the UK hasn't met our red lines for extending past the 12th of April. We said that the House of Commons would have to have voted affirmatively on some kind of Brexit plan by then in order for us to grant an extension, and they haven't. Now, Theresa May is going to come here today, and when she briefs leaders, she's going to tell them, I have opened up talks with the opposition. That's enough of a change for you to be able to grant this extension. So a lot will depend on her opening statement to leaders. And we shouldn't forget that 3 weeks ago, there were plans in place for how to proceed with an extension. And then Theresa May came here and really flubbed her address to EU leaders. They found her evasive, unsure. And after she left the room, EU leaders had lost basically all confidence in her ability to lead the UK or to get a deal done. And that's why we were here for hours that night, because suddenly they said we have to get harsher with them. And that's how we ended up with this short 2-week extension now until April 12th. So it's possible, if Theresa May really blows it in that opening speech, that EU leaders say, we have lost all confidence. We've just got to rip off the Band-Aid now. Let's go for it. Again, though, I think that's a highly unlikely scenario, given the fact that the EU does not want to be seen as the one that caused a no-deal, chaotic Brexit.
Dave, thank you for that. Dave Keating there reporting for us live from Brussels.